concept of development. So we will first study about the concept of development. So as you can see, we are going to talk about the LP, that is the lower primary paper, right? The first paper one. And today in this particular video, we are going to talk about the unit 1, right? Unit 1. What is unit 1 all about? So unit 1 is all about the concept of development. What is development? If I ask you, what do you understand by development? So development is a systematic and progressive process, all right? It is a systematic and progressive process which affects all the domains of an individual, like the physical domain, the emotional domain, the social domain, the psychological domain, social domain, everything it affects. All right, so as you can see on the screen, so development refers to the process of systematic and progressive changes in an individual's physical, mental, emotional, social, and moral capabilities over time. It is a continuous process that occurs throughout life, beginning at conception and continuing into old age. What do you understand by this? So whenever you hear the word development, always remember that development goes from womb to tomb, which means even before a child is born, he or she already starts developing, right? And the process of development do not stop when you are 10 years or when you are 50 years or when you are 100 years. It never stops. The process of development stops only when we die, right? So that's why we say development is a continuous process, it is a lifelong process, and it goes from womb to tomb. So these three things, what I said just now, is very important. Listen carefully once again. Development is a lifelong process, it is a continuous process, and development goes from womb to tomb. And development takes place in social, emotional, moral, psychological, physical, in all these domains of an individual, right? Key features of development. Continuous process. See, key features include many subtopics, all right? So first we have continuous process. So as I told you that development is a continuous process, so development occurs over a lifetime and builds on earlier stages. This is a very important point, my dear friends, as I'm repeating on and on, that development is a continuous process. Sequential and predictable. It follows a specific sequence, such as crawling before walking or babbling before speaking. Now, this development is a predictive and sequential process. Now, why am I saying that development is predictive and sequential process? I am saying this because, as you can see, that a child learns to crawl, right? The child crawls first, then only the child learns to stand and then walk. Yes or no? Yes. They first learn to crawl, then stand, and then they walk, and after that they run, right? So this is what it is. Now, before speaking, a child starts to babble, right? Baba baba, baba baba, like that the child talks, right? At first, then only slowly one word the child will speak, then again a sentence, right? So it's like that. So it is sequential. First, of course, crawling will come first, then standing, then walking, then running, right? It's a process, sequence. Then even for speaking, first babbling will come, then again one word, then again two words, then again a sentence, right? So it's predictive. We can predict that a child will crawl first and then only he or she can stand and walk. Not like that, like the child will first run and then crawl, not like that, right? So it's not like it's a systematic and predictive process. Remember that. Multidimensional. Development encompasses multiple aspects, including physical, cognitive, emotional, social, and moral growth. You see, as we have seen in the introduction, that development is a multi-dimensional process, which means it is not going to affect only your mental development, but it is going to affect all the areas or all the domains, that is physical, moral, social, emotional, mental, cognitive, right? It is going to affect all domains. So it is multi-dimensional. So you remember this word multi-dimensional. You might be asked in a twisted way that development is what? Unidirectional, multi-directional, or bidirectional, or non-directional, or one-directional. So you have to answer it in a specific way, right? Have individual differences. While general patterns exist, the rate and style of development vary from person to person. Now see, individual differences are very important. For you to understand what individual differences are, let me explain a bit with example and illustrations. Now, you see, in a class of, suppose, class 6 students, some students you will find they are tall, some you will find they are short, some you will find they are obese. Some of them you'll find are thin, lean, then fat, like that, right? So different the physical look you will find in the children. Now, of course, if I'm talking about class 6 students, then they are going to be of the similar age. If I'm talking about class 10 students, they will be of the similar age. Now, even if their age is similar, maybe 1 year, 6 months, 3 months, 1 day, 2 day differences are there, but the way they look is different. Some are very thin, some are very lean, some are very obese, some are fat, some are healthy, some are tall, some are short, some are dwarf, right? Different, they are of different forms. Now, why? It is all because development differs from individual to individual, right? So individual differences are always there whenever we talk about development. So I hope you will remember this point. It's important. Now, two very important words are what? Nature and nurture. So as you can see on the screen, that both genetic factors, that is nature, and environmental factors, that is nurture, contribute to development, which means development is contributed both or affected both by the genetic factors, that is the nature, and environmental factors, that is the nurture, right? So what are the genes, or what are the genetic factors, what are the DNA combination of an individual that affects his or her development, and at the same time in which environment, in what type of environment they are living or are adapting to, also contributes to his or her development. So these two words are very important. One is nature. Whenever you hear the word nature, you understand that it has something to do about the genes and genetic factors. And whenever you hear the word environment, always remember it is something to deal with the nurture, how someone is nurtured in an environment. All right, so don't forget to take the screenshot, my dear friends. Take the screenshot of this, and let's proceed ahead, right? So now let us see the principles of development. So how the principle of development look like, or what are the things which comes under the principles of development. So development is directional, proceeds from head to toe. This particular line is very important, which means development proceeds from head to toe. So from head towards the toe, right? Development takes place in that way. So this is very important. It has come in not only in MTech exam, it is also in seated exam, and it always, all the time, these questions are twisted, and it used to come. Usually it is coming in MTech also, in seated also, right? That is what, that development is always from head to toe, cephalocaudal to proximal-distal, or head to toe. Another thing you can see is that development moves from simple to complex. Now, from the word simple to complex, what do you understand? So an example can be a child first learn to grasp a pencil or a pen, right? So if you're giving a pen or a pencil to a child, that child is going to hold that pen or pencil with whole hand, right? They will hold it like that, then slowly like this, then slowly like this, then again they will start writing. So it goes from simple to complex, right? Which means first the child will learn how to hold a pen and then writing, right? So it's a sequential process. One more important factor or principle of development is that it is interrelated, which means when you are developing physically, your physical development may impact or affect the emotional development as well. So you have studied a lot about adolescence, right? So during adolescence, from 13 to 18 years, what happens? The adolescents they grow rapidly, right? They grow rapidly. So you see many changes in the body of the male and female who are in their adolescence. So the development, their body part, it affects the adolescents' emotions, right? The boys, they start having beards, then they have change in the voice texture. The girls, they start developing the breast, right? Girl's body starts depositing fats in the thigh areas, then in the pelvic areas. So these are the changes you will see in the body of a girl and a boy, and at the same time these will affect their emotional status. All right, so that's why we say development is interrelated. So all right, so now we can conclude this concept of development by stating that development is a continuous process, it's a lifelong process, it's a progressive process, right? So it goes from womb to the tomb, which means the child or the individual is always growing even when the child is inside the womb, and until and unless that individual dies, or that individual dies. And we also know about the individual differences, right? We have also seen that development always goes from head to toe, which means it is cephalocaudal in nature. Or as you can see, principles of development. All right, so it is cephalocaudal, which means it goes from the head to the toe. Remember that. Simple to complex means where the child will learn to grab a pencil and then only to write. Right? It's a systematic process and interrelated. So as I told you that physical development may be interrelated with the emotional development, as I have given the example of the adolescence. Lots and lots of physical changes which are taking place in the adolescent's body. That's why it is sometimes called adolescence, is sometimes known as the period of transition from childhood to adulthood, or it's a period of stress and storm. All right, stress and storm. A lot of stress is going on in the mind of the individuals during the period of adolescence. So also I have given you the example that the tone, the texture of voice changes in boys, and they used to develop body hairs. They used to develop in girls, you can see the deposition of fats in the pelvic region, in the thighs, and also the development of the breast, right? So these notes which I'm displaying on the screen, you can use it and you can write it down in your notebook, and you can study or refer in the future before your entered exams. All right, so I think this is all in this video. So thank you everyone for watching. So let's continue with the next video in the next session. All right, so this video was all about the concept of development. So I hope you got to learn a lot from this video. So hope to see you soon in the next video. So thank you everyone for staying connected with the Ashok Tutorials Meghalaya first MTech channel. Thank you everyone, and all the best.